participants, colleagues, and partners. I take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to our unique initiative, Higher Education Leaders Forum, today on a very critical subject of heartful leadership, transforming education and supporting sustainability. The speakers at today's forum need no introduction, but I would like to have your permission at least to introduce them who they are. Number one, we have Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, Vice Chairperson, University Grant Commission. Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General, Association of Indian Universities. Dr. H. Chaturvedi, Director, Birla Institute of Management Technology, BIMTECH, and known as an alternative President, EPSI India. Dr. D.P. Goyal, Director, IIM Shillong, India. Dr. SANDEEP, SANCHETI, Vice-Chancellor, SRMInstitute, Chennai, India. Dr. Bhimaraya Metri, Director, IIM Tiruchirappalli, India. Dr. Elizabeth, Editor-in-Chief, Trainer and Curriculum Development, Heartful Institute, India. And Dr. Ravi Gupta, Founder, CEO, and Editor-in-Chief, Ellets Technomedia Private Limited. And we also have very privileged to have Dr. Geoffrey Clements, Chairman, Commonwealth Infrastructure Partners, London, UK. And our own dynamic moderator, under whose guidance this entire initiative is being taken, Dr. Pankaj Gupta, President, IIHMR University, Jaipur, India. And welcome to each one of you. This is a joint forum of UN Global Compact India and IIHMR University, Jaipur, and the Heartful Institute. We are grateful for their strong support. Our media partner, Alstonine, has contributed a great deal in making this forum bigger and better. We are overwhelmed by the tremendous support and also a record-breaking response of over 800 participants and maybe more now. Huge thanks to Sustainiverse and our partner Socioladder for yet again helping us present this session. Truly remarkable efforts by Rasika. We are privileged to have Dr. Kamlesh D. Patel, Daji, founder and guide, the Heartful Institute. The presence of such eminent speakers today bears testimony to their deep commitment to transforming higher education through heartful leadership, which also aligns to the UN SDGs of quality education and good health and well-being. I am sure most people present today are aware of UN Global Compact Network India. Still a few words about us for the benefit of those who are coming across with GCNI for the first time. Global Compact Network India, GCNI, is the local arm of United Nations Global Compact New York. It is the only UN agency in India that works as custodian of all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We are a membership-driven network that works in the areas of advocacy, research, capacity building, programmatic intervention, project around SDG and global. Also, I must say that it is the special initiative of UN Secretary General. COVID-19, all of you are aware, has disrupted our ways of living and working. SDGs and 10 principles are the only ways to respond, restore, rebuild, and resume both our personal and professional lives. Higher education leaders today, more than ever before, have a greater responsibility to drive the much needed changes across the entire education ecosystem. The goal of education for a creative society cannot just be economic, it must also be cultural, social, human, environmental, while aiming for a desired transformation in our higher education system. We can learn from heartful leadership, which cares about the greater good. It emphasizes empathy, ethical intelligence, and emotional intelligence. In order to transform education at large, higher education leaders may find heartfulness, focused leadership to be quite a pragmatic approach. UNGC and I, along with IIHMR University and Heartful Institute, firmly believes this to be a unique opportunity to bring together representation from the key players and have a dialogue on topics related to collaborative efforts and long-term sustenance and resiliency in shaping our future leaders today. I am sure the discussion and interaction during the forum today will be both engaging and enlightening. We especially look forward to the meditation session by Daji. And while I wish you all the best, I must also say that Dr. Pankaj Gupta, who has been in the forefront of this conversation, he is today graciously agreed to lead this as anchor. He is the architect of this unprecedented coming together of most admired and sought after thought leaders and visionaries. I must thank him. And with that, once again, welcome to each one of you and over to Dr. Pankaj Gupta. Pankaj Gupta ji.
So thank you very much, Kamal ji, for the very kind introduction. And it is all because of support from leaders like you and all the distinguished academic leaders and inspiration by Master Daji that this event we are able to see today. So my heartfelt thanks and gratitude, first of all. And what we have seen that in the time of post-COVID and co-COVID, there is a need for realigning our strategies and to see that where we are and where we have to go further. So in that way, we have to see that what education leaders have been doing and what needs to be done now. As has been the system that in the case of the traditional command and control model or traditionally the walk and chalk professor, we see that there is a big change happening as regard the academic ecosystem is going. And online learning, but how much good it is creating, then what is the impact it is creating on the screen time, is it creating some sort of mental stress, and so on and so forth. We have seen that gone are the days where command and control and by formal authority, my way or highway, those kind of models are no longer working. It is more about the moral authority. It is more about the heart capital. That is what can align the people, and people can align and do and achieve great things. At IIHMR University, as we are the premier research-based university based in Jaipur, and we have campus in Delhi and Bangalore also, we have understood this point all due to grace of Masters Daji. We got insights into the inner journey. So we have created programs well ahead of time, like self-awareness and mindful leadership, making meditation as a part of the whole curriculum, also doing the cleaning at the end of the day, so that when the people are going out, they're going fine. And that it is not about only the hard work which make great, but also the hard play. That how you take your work and are you able to do that with a lot of love and compassion, and also how we can generate value for all our important stakeholders, students, faculty, and so on. And I see great leaders who have been institution builders, and I have great admiration for them, such as Dr. Chaturvedi ji. I have seen that a person like him who is so well respected and have been sticking to one place and known so well, and each and every one people who have been working for him, they have such a great regard and love for him. Or see it, SANCHETI ji, I have seen him personally either when he was in government or when he was in Manipal, or even people like Goyal sir, Metri ji, or Pankaj Mittal ji when she was a Vice-Chancellor, now she is heading the institution, or even Bhushan ji, I was seen from his days in Pune, or how he has been to the people. So I believe that one very important thing is that how you deal with people, how you harness your own heart capital and take it forward. So keeping that in mind, we thought about this topic, and I am once again very much thankful to all of you for agreeing to be here. And I would now request our honorable keynote speaker, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan ji, to give his address to this audience. Over to Bhushan ji, please. The Vice Chairman of UGC.
Thank you, Professor Pankaj, and all dear participants. I am very happy to be here, and I must thank UN Network as well as IIHMR University. I am aware of very good work that Professor Pankaj has been doing at IIHMR. IIHMR has been one of the premium institute, in health management. There are very, very few universities which are specialized in this field. And in COVID scenario, I know how important it has become to know more about health management, to bring more efficiency in the system. So my first all the best to you and your colleagues, Professor Pankaj. And I'm also happy that you are joined by the UN network, and this is my second time, Professor Kamal Singh. I still remember our first interaction when I attended your meeting. We have a very, very successfully organized meeting in Delhi, and all your colleagues are so committed for the cause. So these two collaborators coming together for this Heartfulness, and Heartfulness Institute with Honorable Daji joining us, that's a very good sign. The theme which you have selected is also very important. The heartfulness term itself is so loving, means it really brings you from internal so much of warmth and empathy without even talking anything. So that term itself speaks very, very loud. The theme you have taken is the heartfulness leadership, and you have given a tagline, transforming education and supporting sustainability. So I'll just talk very briefly, just 10 minutes, to give my views. First, I will touch upon the transforming education part. I feel that it is high time. We have been talking about transforming education ever since we became independent. The Kothari Commission, or even before that,
universities can make use of that time and get collaborations, national as well as international. You can be talking to many people. There can be virtual labs are also there. So collaborations plus inviting professors nationally as well as internationally online for the benefit of your own students, plus not only your own students, you can keep it open for every student. The benefit is given to larger number of students. And seventh and the last step is, because of this corona, there is a lot of psychological issues, there are a lot of mental health issues, and students are not, because it's not that they will be studying the whole day, they have to have entertainment, they have to have counseling also. So every university should be doing something in, say, youth affairs, some cultural programs, some online cultural programs. AIU did one cultural program called Kuch Artistic Corona, in which we invited videos from various students, and there was a huge response. About 2,500 videos from 576 universities we received, and students were very happy about it. Yesterday only we have released the result of that Kuch Artistic Corona. Similarly, there can be many activities arranged by the university for the mental health and for the sort of, because when the students are coming to the university, they talk to the peers, they talk to the students, they are very happy. But all of a sudden, when they are locked down, they have many mental problems. It is the responsibility of the university, one, to create many different type of programs to engage the students. Second, also to have a counseling session, counseling center, counseling sessions, whether it is mental counseling, physical counseling, psychological counseling, academic counseling, personal counseling. So the counseling of the students is very important. So I personally feel that during these 2 months, these 7 steps, the education leaders, the leaders of the higher education institutions, our vice-chancellor, our principals, they are able to take, they will be able to cope up with the AC world more effectively, and the interest of the students will be protected to a large extent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pankaj. Thanks a lot for that. Pranam to Daji, and looking forward to this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pankaj ji. It was a very insightful presentation. Your 7 formula is so good, and especially when you mentioned about this age of collaboration, which we can do in an online mode is very, very powerful and also very, very cost effective. Virtual labs, career progression, and also when you mention about this creative corona is also very interesting. And very interesting thing to say that before corona, after corona, BC to AC. And also the mental health issues and counseling. So because everybody is having so much thing about feeling. And I remember once I attended a talk by Daji when he spoke in MIT Raipur. Then he said one thing very clearly that, the way you have feelings for your own son and daughters, why don't you, when you're dealing with your student, also you have same feeling? Because though in India we have that lot of money and dependent, on the tuition, but in North America and elsewhere in the world, they mainly depend on the grants and the big money which you get from the donation from the alumnus. So the alumni, when they are leaving the campus and they have a feeling of, being served well with love and leaving with a grateful heart, leaving as an advocate. So they naturally, whenever they become successful, they would like to give back. And that culture is also slowly coming in India, still at a very low pace. Some of our Indian industrialists also have given money, but they prefer to give it to University of Texas or Harvard and Wharton. I hope but time will come that Indian philanthropy will also come to our Indian institution. So thank you so much, Pankaj ji. And I'd like to say that whether Daji would like to comment anything on these two key presentations, or Daji, would you like to make any comments?
Yes, definitely. I've enjoyed both the sessions so far. Wonderful, and it is what we call trend, staying with the current trends. And accidentally, or God knows, fortune has led us into this corona-diverted rethinking process. And people are considering seriously how to reinvent their own life, just as we are right now reinventing the way of education. And 2 points I have learned from Dr. Pankaj Mittal is this continuous evaluation, continuous counseling, continuous improvement. I like that strategy. I mean, how we all understand this continuous improvement, continuous counseling, continuous, it should be a continuous process. It cannot be term exam and forget it, and then this and forget it. See? So it's a lovely thing, and this COVID has created a lot of disorders, not just amongst the students, but amongst the adults also. Even the old person who would not go out of the house otherwise, but you are telling him, please, you stay in the house. He doesn't like that. He cannot go out anyway. He has never gone out anyway. But this choiceless situation is creating ruckus. So I think creative counseling, creating more what we call joyful seminars or something coming from the students, creative activities, and bringing them on board online and reward them. Okay. Reward them with some sort of recognition. See, I think I like this continuity of any process. It's a great one. Thank you.
Thank
you, Dr.
Thank you so much. And earlier when Bhushan ji was sharing, he said that how technology is shifting, how Gurukul to Kulguru, and the 64 Kala and 14 Vidya, that was also very powerful. And see that our ancient wisdom is again calling us again and again for that. So with this, I would like to move to one of the very respected person whom I admire a lot and who is very well respected in the management education fraternity, Dr. Chaturvedi ji. He is director of Birla Institute, BIMTECH, and also the alternate president of EPSI, that is Education Promotion Society of India. And I have personally been fortunate enough to have his mentorship for a long time. And I see that people really admire him so much, and his people, anybody who worked for him, they always remember him for life. So, sir, how do you create, this heartful leadership is a term which is new, but you've been always following the heartful leadership all your life. So the how and what education leader should do. We would like you to hear your views on that, sir. Thank you. Chaturvedi ji, please. Sir, you have to unmute yourself.
I've been inspired by Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore in my life, and they have imagined an India where there will be a lot of impetus to heartful leadership, heartful human being, and my teachers in my school, they have taught me this lesson that every human being with respect and with sense of gratitude. So I think our higher education has expanded in quantitative manner exponentially compared to the situation prevailing in 1947. We have more than 40 million students in higher education and more than 20 crores students in our school education. We have more than 1.5 lakh teachers in university system. But basic thing which is lacking, that there is no personal touch between the students and the teachers. There is no personal touch between the administrator and the faculty. There is no personal touch between the administrator and the staff. I think this lack of personal touch is creating a lot of problems. Corona has added another dimension, and there is an emergency rapid shifting towards online education. So anything which is created overnight, that cannot be a nature, have not created problem, because it is unplanned way. Then we were not left with any option. Corona has forced us to teach students by online method. I think this 1 year will give us a lot of lessons, and I think that our education system need transformation. That transformation will be possible only by giving education primacy in our policy making, and our academic leaders, principals, vice chancellors, and even the teaching community, they need a lot of sensitization that for next 1 to 3 years, when the corona effect will be there, they have to be empathetic towards students. They have to be empathetic towards the weaker and vulnerable section of our society. Students, when they come to the school or university, the people from poor families, they may be lacking the resources to online education or quality education. They may be lacking financial resources. So we should be very empathetic with them, and we should not simply apply the rules and regulations. Many times, in millions of times, we will have to break the rules and help. No option but to transform its education, and that transformation can be possible only by cultivating heartful leadership and heartfulness culture. Daji has done wonderful work, and today UGC Vice Chairperson Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan ji has connected us with the great legacy of ancient India. I would like to conclude by saying that education has a magic wand which can solve major problem of the country. And Corona has given this introspection. It has forced us to introspect and to think beyond and think in around us. I think we have to listen, Daji, and we have to thoughts. And he has learned this philosophy of heartfulness from his guru from Sajapur, and they are doing wonderful work in the country. And we are connecting with Daji, and through Daji we are connecting with the great legacy of India's thought, which Gandhi has written in Hindu Swaraj and Rabindranath Tagore has imagined while setting up the Vishwa Bharati Sanketan University and Madan Banaras Hindu University. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was very insightful short talk, but very, very powerful. And so much thanks for your thank you. We'll again come back to you, sir. And now I'd like to request Dr. Metri. He has done a lot of work for promoting the ethics in the management curriculum. And he is also the chairman of the Board of Management with AICTE. There is an All India Council for Technical Education. So, Metri ji, would you like to share your insights? Dr. Metri?
He's not there.
Okay.
Pankaj ji, he dropped off.
Okay. Okay. So let me request Sancheti ji to please share his insights.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Is Metri ji there? Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Kamal Singh Saab, UNGC and I, and also the IIHMR for this invitation. Wonderful to be part of this webinar here, sharing our views. I think we have had a lot of learned speakers, Bhushan ji, Madam Pankaj, Chaturvedi Saab, and of course, very nice to see Daji here, also helping us with understanding the concept of heartfulness. I'm here to learn more, I would say, in this particular context, because I'm not necessarily a domain expert when it comes to talking about the heartfulness. Yes, I can connect it with my life, connect it with my institutions and the organizations for which I work. And therefore, I can share some views in the context and the brief setting of the higher education space. So when it comes to this, heartfulness can be a very, very sort of wide term. Our life is made of a lot of inputs, and of course, there's a lot of outputs. So we give and take, and there has to be a balance. And in between, the process happens, and the processes are all, for me, non-linear. That means you cannot characterize them very nicely, you cannot optimize them nicely, and one affects the other one very, very easily. And some of them lead into saturation fairly easily. For example, our own growth. As a child, we grow like anything, and after our birth in next 10, 15 years, 20 years, but after that it saturates. So many other things happens to us. And therefore, heartfulness, if it comes, it probably brings and explains all those aspects. And those are very important in the context of today's living. And particularly if it is given in the education space, I believe that would be fantastic. And I would say for me, heartfulness possibly would be the positive side of the life, you can say, which will probably be driven by what you call the relaxations or the contentments or general awareness about others, and maybe extending kindness to the people, be cooperative, and various other things. And therefore, this foundation has to be laid in the higher education space or maybe school education space. But unfortunately, none of these things happen easily. We are highly, highly competitive. It's a cutthroat competition, which is there in the institution. The moment a first ranker in a class goes to second rank, the entire society, the parents, the neighbors, the friends, and even teachers do ask, what happened to you? How have you slept? I don't think so. You are going to be pegged to a single position and therefore you should remain there. We should understand that life is there to change. And that is what I would probably explain the word heartfulness in my understanding. I would also say that it is more about, it's more driven or it's more connected with what you call the passion, maybe the purpose, maybe the path, maybe the perseverance in whatever you do. Because as I said, every time single point success or single stroke success will not be there. So perseverance, and therefore heartfulness is an amalgamation of everything in the life, and that can be only be founded very easily in the education space. And since we are talking of higher education and other experts have commented on that, I would also like to share one or two points on that. I think it's high time the Indian education system goes out of what we call the physical and the procedural aspects of the education, which is what we are trying to do. You have to sit in the class, you have to appear in the 3-hour paper, you have to pass so much and study everything which we try to push in. And then procedurally that we have to have all these things. I think we should go out of that. I would possibly advise to all of us, including myself and my friends in the education space, that it's time that as a nation, we should talk about efficiency, we should talk about effectiveness, we should talk about the diversity which we should deliver. We should also talk about the speed with which we can change, because we are dealing in this space called knowledge. And knowledge is changing pretty fast. Everyone knows that how rapidly it is changing. And therefore, we should make sure that we also attain the aspect of speed also, not necessarily to win everything, but to at least to understand, adopt whatever is good for us. And therefore, these will be the attributes, I would say, education institutions and people like us who run them should attain or get. But when it comes to the students, I think they should be focusing on certain things, which may be the level of attainment. They should decide what is the level they want to reach. Everyone cannot reach the top position. Everyone cannot get the dream placement from an institution, because dream will be limited only. Everyone cannot get overall growth in every aspect, be it sports or be it maybe the academics or research or whatever it may be. And therefore, we should decide that what we want to attain. And one thing which one has to focus, particularly the students, is the quality. We know that the quality is a big issue institutions are trying to address, but quality is what, if we can do it, I think there will be a much more satisfaction, because the outcomes of that particular effort, the quality-driven efforts, would be something very, very good. So this is what I would say, that we have to get out of certain basic norms which we have been following for ages. For example, today a student comes to an institution saying, can I get a placement right at the time of admission, that after 4 or 5 years he's looking at the placement. I think for first 3 years, one should really look at what they can learn, how they can make themselves better, and then probably target the placements. Yes, in the process, we should give them the enough degree of freedom, which was said by the other experts also, that when I go to a hotel, when I go to a marriage or whatever, I eat what I like. The same way, if I can give the analogy, when I come to an educational institution, I should be given the choice what I want to learn, how I want to learn, when I want to learn. So I'm not necessarily a fan of online or physical or contact or non-contact. It should be best left to the user. And then obviously the same analogy can be extended to the level of degrees or the type of subjects and the depth to which they want to go and the purpose with which they want to attain all that. So this is what I would say will basically make the life comfortable of a learner as well as the teacher or the provider or the institution. And that's my initial take, Pankajji, in this context. Thank you so much. And I'll be ready to answer some points or chip in more later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandeep-ji. Very, very nice. And what you said, that right from the beginning, that the student think that, okay, where I will get placed and all that. What you said is very right. That, let him focus on knowing truly what he wants, he or she wants, and focusing on that. Then placement and other thing will anyway follow as a natural outcome. And these days, some universities are also doing that. They identify the student, the caliber right in the beginning. And then they also guide him or her that, okay, what kind of plan you can take. But the whole thing will come that what you do in the moment, rather than, just after 4 years and then you say that, okay, I don't have a job. And also with the Modi saying, Atmanirbhar Bharat, maybe we can have more of the job givers rather than the job seekers. Anyway, thank you so much, sir, for your kind inputs. We'll again come back to you. So now I think Metri ji was back here. Yeah, Metri ji is here. So I'll be inviting him. And as I told that Metri ji has played a very important role in promoting the values and ethics education in India. He's also the chairman of the Board of Management of AICTE. There is All India Council of Technical Education. And a great advocate of the values and ethics in education. So I will request Metri ji to please address. Over to Metri ji.
Thank you, Pankaj, and all esteemed panel members, and including Professor Pankaj Gupta. So to begin with, as far as the heartful leadership and transforming education and supporting sustainability is concerned, let me build a context. If you look at the history of education, initial days, the model was Republic of Scholars model. Republic of Scholars model was, it was a total freedom, total autonomy for the professors in the universities. When Takshila, Nalanda kind of environment in those days, professors used to be full control, full autonomy, full freedom, and what they want to express, they used to express. So that was the beginning, and real, what we say, the leadership in education, it was total freedom and freedom of expression, everything was there. Later on, we moved to a state control, authority and control model came into picture. And from that, very recently, last 3-4 decades, we are moving to the, again, a model of autonomy. Autonomy with accountability model, now we are moving. Today, if you look at the institutions like IITs, NITs and IIMs, and particularly the highest order of autonomy is now given to IIMs. So these are autonomy with accountability model has come. Again, you have freedom, you have autonomy, and you have to also accountable. So from Republic of Scholars, we have come to education to this model. Autonomous institutions are more successful because they have a lot of space and they have to, they can experiment and they can succeed. Out of 10 experiments, even 6-7 succeed, they are going to play important role. As far as heartful leadership is concerned, now if you look at the leadership, contemporary leadership has shifted from control-based model to influence-based model. So control, I think the Patel Saab, Dadaji will agree that Kamlesh ji, control-based model has now mostly in the corporate world, even in education sector, not going to work in today's digital world and disruptive world. So influence-based model is going to work, and heartful leadership is all about the leader is one who is large-hearted, generous, great giver, and put others first. So putting others first is an important character of the heartful leader, caring enough for the people around to connect with the different personalities to build a leadership pipeline. So that is what heartful leader is all about. Today, I think Professor Chaturvedi rightly gave an example. Mahatma Gandhi was a great heartful leader. Nelson Mandela was a heartful leader. Homi Bhabha was a great leader. Leaders create leaders. Look at the Satish Dhawan. These leaders were created by Homi Bhabha. So this is how leaders create leaders. And again, the best example is Sir Shiv Sagar Ram Gulam, who got freedom to Mauritius. So he was a great heartful leader. So all these leaders became great leaders because they were all having a great humility and great empathy. So one of the important dimension for heartful leader is the empathy. Empathy is the basis for the basic journey of heartful leader. And along with that, another important character, humility. So people see themselves in others, and that is what the humility. And in OB, we talk about a 5th level of leadership. So 4th level of leadership, many people, competent leaders reach up to level 4. 5th level is all about the humility. So how to create leaders with great humility and empathy. So those things are important. And today, in that area, a lot of competition is missing. So that is how very few people are emerging out as a heartful leaders. And future belongs to heartful leaders because we need many leaders, those who are going to make a difference in this world. Because from materialistic life, because today leaders are only thinking of human being and also only thinking of particular business and product. But heartful leader is one who is not only thinking of human being, but they also think about all beings. So if you go to the again history of India, typical village, whether you look at agriculture economy, they used to love plants, they used to love animals, cattle. It was a holistic mindset and great giving attitude. That was the tradition of India. That was the traditional knowledge of India, and that is still in Indian DNA, it is there. So that kind of leadership we need to practice in business as well as education institution, and that is missing, and we need to inculcate again. So that is why I believe that heartful leader is the one who can be very secure, and he's a kind person, and the focus is on how to help others. So that is where heartful leader is basically aims to influence others, to build a leadership, serve rather than showing the positioning and skill. Heartful leader is a deep sense of ethics, driven by core values and often for the pursuit of higher purpose. And therefore, heartful leader aims always to develop the leader's capabilities in others. And that kind of leadership is expected. And if you go by these lines, probably Mother Earth and planet, whatever the Sustainable Development Goals, and particularly SDG 4 talks about quality of education, nobody can stop us to get it to whatever the requirement and satisfaction of SDG 4 once you get into heartful leadership, basically focusing on all being, not only human being, focusing on holistic development of the human being as well as other beings, so that we can generate not only interest as well as we can also keep sufficient resources enough for the future generation. So with this, I'll stop now, and I am ready to take questions if any questions are there. Thank you, Pankaj.
Thank you, Metri ji. Very nice. And I can see that what you said about this focus on the all being, giving examples from Bhaba, Mahatma Gandhi ji, as Chaturvedi ji had also said, Shiv Sagar Ram Gopal, autonomy, others first, humility, empathy, holistic development, giving attitude, secure, kind, helping others, working for the higher purpose, developing others. And I'm sure once these things are followed, it will also lead to a sustainable world, because there will be less scope of any fear, greed or anger and just accumulation, but more for the collective enjoyment. So I thank you once again. And Daji, would you like to make any comment?
Just a small one.
Yeah.
I like this idea very much from Dr. Metri. This idea of humility is primary one. See, even Vinoba Bhave, when he extols 22, 23 qualities portrayed in Gita, he puts humility at the highest. Because he says, you imagine a gate to a palace. There is a big gate at the entry gate and there are many side gates. But nobody pays attention to a small gate which is behind the palace. Often people forget this small quality called humility and leave it vulnerable. And you're attacked from outside through these small gates, and people protect the big gates, showing off and things like that. Another beautiful thing I like from Dr. Metri's talk is not just human being, but all being. Citing the current example of if you were caring for animals in current situation, pangolin, if they were caring for this pangolin, you would not have seen this COVID. That's a small example. How we should look for a harmonious, wholesome life. Say. Thank you, Pankaj.
Thank you, Daji. I would not like to request Shri D.P. Goyal ji, Director of IIM Shillong, to share his views. Dr. Goyal ji.
First of all, I'm grateful to all the organizers, especially Professor Pankaj Gupta, to giving me this opportunity to speak a very wonderful this topic that how we can really transform as far as the education leaders are concerned. As we all know that we all are passing through an uncertain and challenging times these days. We are fighting a war against an invisible enemy. And it has also equally impacted the education sector. And we are trying to find out the alternative ways of imparting education. That is online mode of education. But it will take some time before we understand and test the new model. Professor Pankaj was just discussing about that we need to now shift to the online model. Yes, probably that is what everybody is talking about. That is the newfound model. And the students and faculty are under a lot of pressure to adopt to this new model. It has already been started showing us the impacts. In fact, the negative impact, like we are talking about, and the students are talking about the screen fatigue, and then the mental pressure on the students. That sometimes the students, they are supposed to take classes that is online screen fatigue, that is sometimes about 4 to 6 hours. And then in order to go through the material, again, they have to face the same screen. So now I think that this is the dark side of the new model. That is why we say that it is still under testing. But we need to be, and that's the reason why we need to be cautious before we start using this model. And there are some myths that we need to understand so as to make the new norm effective. First of all, we need to opportunity COVID has provided to us. So we need to recognize the need of the hour, that we have to be adaptive, we have to be agile, and we have to be innovative. So online education is not to automate the existing format of face-to-face education. Rather, we need to understand the mindset of the people, the students, the faculty. And online education is all about the pedagogy, the delivery, student engagement, student evaluation, and overall student mental health. So it is just not an automation of the existing processes. In fact, it's a complete new model, and we have to be adopted with a lot many cautions and precautions. So we need to take care of the mental health and the pressure of students, faculty, and the parents. We just simply cannot say this is the online model and now all the students have to be online, because we cannot afford to, that students should not be having any losses as far as studies are concerned. But we need to understand whether the faculty is ready and what kind of pressure they might be undergoing. When, as a leader, as a principal, as a vice-chancellor, as a director of the institute, once we say we are going to start online teaching from such and such date, and then whether the faculty who might not have gone through that model for years, and then all of a sudden we are just saying that this is the new model and all the faculty, they have to adopt to this new model. So we are talking about the students, but if we focus on the training of the trainers, I think that that's the faculty, to my mind, is the most important, that, and it would have the positive and the multiplier effects. Because as a leader, what is required to be done is that there should be inspiring a shared vision, and then enabling others to act, and then encouraging the heart. So again, I wish to focus on the faculty who are required to be sensitized, who are required to be trained properly, who are required to be educated. And only then I think that once they are sensitized, we are talking about empathy, we are talking about compassion, we are talking about human beings, we are talking about engagement of students. But if the faculty is trained, first they need to be sensitized. Only then I think that there would be this demonstrating in the class, because we have given them minimum 200 to 300, sometimes 400 students to handle. So to the faculty, I think the most important resource, that before even we can talk about the students, I think that we need to see whether this infrastructure is ready. Online, yes, infrastructure we're talking about, technology, bandwidth, but then what about the humans who are going to handle this very raw talent and the human beings, the students, and that's the teenagers. So I think that what is required is to change the focus, and that is from teaching to the learning environment. As a higher education, the faculty, they're supposed these days, as earlier speaker was rightly saying, that it is just not that we are the teachers, and we need to change that mindset. We need to change that focus. We need to be saying that we are facilitators, because these days everything is available on Google, and we simply cannot say that all this theoretical knowledge is there and only teacher can impart this knowledge. But because students have got the access to all that knowledge base, so now it becomes all the more important for the teachers that they are just not the teachers, rather they're the facilitators. So they need to create the learning environment, and the focus needs to be from online delivery to the pedagogy, because online learning or teaching is just not the, again, automating processes, rather it's a pedagogy. Because as a pedagogy is concerned, it would be, then we will be talking about the delivery, we will be talking about the engagement of students, we will be talking about that how we need to evaluate the students, and so on and so forth. So focus would be on the learner, just not the systems and processes. So we need to shift focus from control to inspiring, and the trust that is, and that we need to empower the faculty and focus on systems and structure. We need to change it to focus on people. So from doing things right, that is to doing the right things, should be the motto. And from copying others, because everybody is doing, then let us also do it. But rather we need to shift the focus to the original, because as we rightly say, that's 1% crafting and 99% is alignment. So this is where we need to put a focus on. So we can easily achieve all these if we adopt the 3H model, because I'm really a fan of our late Prime Minister, that is the Lal Bahadur Shastriji, who has himself practiced the 3H model, and that 3H stands for humble, the honest, and human. So in other words, we need to go back to the teachings of our former gurus, who advocated that education is of no meaning if it is not value-based education. So I think that we should not look around, rather we should just be taking pride in all our education, our old education, especially Indian education systems, where we have been focusing on the ethos, where we have been focusing on the value-based education. I think that this is what, in fact, I'm really a great fan of Daji. I have listened to a lot many videos and his content. He really talks about that heartfulness. It's just not the brain or logic every time, right? Rather, it's the heart. I think that we simply ask from the heart whether what we need to do, probably you will get the answer. So I think that this is the need, is to focus on the value-based education. And thus, it is not the profit, which is the most P, normally, especially in the B schools, the profit, economics, or economy. Sometimes I think the other piece, sometimes we ignore, that's the people and the planet. So this is how, that these days, if we, COVID-19, sometimes we really think that, yes, it has shown us the way that how in the past we used to do. So we are just, again, trying to get the same principles, same values, or same everything, like as far as education is concerned. If we simply go back and adopt our own principles given by or shown by or taught by our old gurus, I think that this is these days are talking about. Probably that is the great learning which COVID has given to us, that we need to be more human. We need to be more people-centric. It is just not that the efficiency, rather it is what we need to see, that whether we are doing the right things. So with these things, I think that it is great that, yes, leaders, they have to play a great role, because along with the students, yes, they are very, very important stakeholders. But the faculty, I think, the parents, that we need to engage even the parents, because like, for example, last 3 months, we have to keep a continuous touch with the parents. So that is how, and even the students, we are simply asking them their well-being. We are asking them that if there is any problem, like for example, we are talking about the training problem, the placements. But then if as a leader, and it is just not one leader, rather every faculty should act as a leader. So this is, I think that, because we are discussing that it is a multiplier effect. If the faculty is trained that way, sensitized that way, then probably it is not a great deal that, yes, engagement is there. sometimes we simply complain that there is a mistrust, there is a disconnect, but then who is responsible for that? I think that we ourselves are responsible. And if we simply train, sensitize our faculty members and the people around, whether officers and staff, and simply we need to create that culture. See, this is the people is the most important, because for any system to make it successful, if people, they are the biggest enablers, sometimes they also become the biggest disablers. So this is how that always we need to give all importance to our people. So with these words, thank you very much, the organizers, because I know that time is short, but these are the things that really becomes these days most important. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Goyal sir. It is really so nice. You have made so many very important points, but since we are running short of time, I will only, I've noted all your points, but mainly the thing you shared about the 3H model of Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, that is humble, honest, and humane, and also moving from profit to people and planet. So I'll be again talking after hearing two more speakers. Then we also have to, Daji has to speak, and then there will be a meditation session led by none other than Daji himself. So I'm just moving on, and I'll be just inviting now Jeffrey Clement ji, if he can give his comments briefly, please. He's the chairman of Infrastructure, Commonwealth Infrastructure Partners in the UK. So over to you, Jeffrey, please.
Good, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'd really like to congratulate Dr. Pankaj and the organizers for this wonderful event. Even if this theme had been set 2 or 3 months ago, it has become even more important now with the current global situation. And what is very clear, not just in higher education, but in all sectors, is that new times demand a new formula. And the theme at the moment that you set for this very important event of heartfelt is so important in the development of education, because so much now will be done that is not physically connected. We won't be in the same place. Having the real connection, people to people connection, is such an important part of the new development of education. I've had the great good fortune of being involved in higher education in India now for quite a number of years, well over a decade, teaching in business schools, universities. I've had the pleasure of being hosted by many of our friends and colleagues who are on this panel today. And my impressions during the last decade are that in many ways, higher education in India is better prepared for the current global situation than higher education in many other countries. And this comes back to the beautiful points that Dr. Bhushan made right at the beginning, that the traditions of education, traditions of knowledge in India go back thousands of years. And my experience looking at the last decade in particular is that there is a tendency, a very strong tendency and trend for faculty and students to appreciate more deeply the values of the traditions of knowledge and traditions of education and learning that India uniquely has. Having had the experience of being involved in higher education in a number of countries, I'm always very refreshed and energized by being in the higher education environment in India because of those deep traditional values. India uniquely has the importance of consciousness, the development of consciousness. And I think when we look at the forward development of education now and the development of values, India is inevitably going to play a leading role in the resurgence of the new values that must emerge in the new economics, the new social values, the new global interactions that will inevitably emerge from this situation. And I think that part of that must be re-enlivening the traditions of the development of consciousness, the container of knowledge, focusing not just on the material values, looking at the ways in which education can really develop the full potential of the individual. Tomorrow, is the International Day of Yoga, celebrated all over the world. And it's one example of how the deep traditions of knowledge and values coming from the deep traditions of knowledge in India are creating good values globally. And that is going to be, I am convinced, a value that is going to emerge in this new time that inevitably is coming. India is ideally placed with its traditions of meditation, yoga, other methods and knowledge for the full development of the individual and the full development of society. And this has been a great interest, as colleagues here on the call today, on the conference today, will know of my deep enduring interests in these values during my career and my extended stays in India. And therefore, I feel that India must not only look at what is happening within the country, but India must look, those involved in higher education, in particular in India, must take a view of how they will take a role of leadership, not just in India, but a global leadership role in the emergence of new values in higher education. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey ji. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite Ravi Gupta ji. He is the CEO and founder of LTIS Media and organizing the World Education Summit and making a big impact in the technological domain in the education sector. Over to you, Ravi ji.
Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Pankaj and UN Compact for inviting me in this very amazing panel, and especially I'm privileged to be here with Dr. Daji, and I will be have the pleasure of listening to him and several other speakers here. And one of the points Dr. Patwardhan mentioned in the beginning was about the importance of SDGs, like why the topic of this discussion is about sustainability. We have to look at sustainable development goals. And Dr. Pankaj Mittal mentioned about one of the points about importance of collaboration in these challenging times. And I am taking these 2 points in my discussion here, that after this COVID-19, the importance of collaboration has increased drastically, and also the importance of compassion, which is also the important topic of this discussion. And I will give you an example about IIT Kanpur, where I studied there. And I used to wonder, and many of the students used to wonder, that why government thought about establishing an IIT in a place like Kanpur. And we discovered that Kanpur was once upon a time the industrial hub of the North India, and Nehru thought that IIT being there would help really revitalize the economy and revitalize the industry and make it world class. But what did the IIT Kanpur students used to do? That 90% of the students would just fly off to abroad after their studies. So there was hardly any linkages between the current societal problems and the education system, which was there around 20 years back when I passed out, and there is still gaps between that. And one of the issues, I think, that the higher education ecosystem has to work closely with the societal issues, the government departments, the NGOs, and work on the Indian problems, and which relate to poverty, to gender, to all the SDGs. India has still to achieve a lot. Unfortunately, the higher education ecosystem in the country and the SDGs are going in parallel streams. The SDGs goals cannot be achieved unless the higher education ecosystem starts working and taking it very, very seriously, and it starts collaborating with the government and the private sector in these areas. And this will help increase compassion in the students, which is related to the topic of the heartfulness, which is the topic here, and also help India achieve the SDGs faster. And we at IIHS have been making a small contribution in this area by linking or building platforms like World Education Summit and various other conferences and online platforms where we are trying to bring the regulators, the higher education, the ecosystem, the private sector, the civil society, academia, all together and help build those partnerships. So I must thank the organizers and especially Dr. Pankaj for bringing this panel together, where we are talking about sustainability and also about compassion and heartfulness and collaborations, which is the very, very important in these times. With this, I end this presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Raviji. Thank you so much. And now I will be requesting Elizabeth Denley-ji to please take the discussion forward from here on. And I want to thank each one of you for your great support and great inputs. So over to you, Elizabeth-ji. Please take it forward.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you, Pankaj-ji. So I have the very delightful role to introduce Daji. I'm not going to take much time because we're short on time. Just to say that he is the founder of the Heartfulness Institute. He's the fourth guru in a tradition, a line of gurus of the Sajmarg Raj Yoga system, which is yoga based on meditation. And what I've learned from him over the years is incomparable in the sense that his approach is experiential and practical. So more than anything, what he can offer in this forum is the how we do all these things that you've all been talking about to date. You've been talking about the way we transform the education system, how we bring in sustainability, how we bring about a more heartful base to our education system, both in terms of leadership and what we offer students as well. So if there's anyone I know that can help with the how of this, it's Daji. So with no further ado, over to you, Daji. You take this session forward the way you want to in terms of speaking and meditation, relaxation. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and very respected elders and the great panel whom I've heard so with a lot of joy. I've learned a lot. We often tend to go back to our past civilization, past glory of India. You know, one British author has written, "The great India that was." It makes you cry when you read such a book title, India, the great it was. You see. We have to make it greater. We cannot depend on our past. Past is gone. So what if your father was a king and you're a beggar? It's of no use. So a few fundamental things we have to reinvent and bring it back to our lives. See, we often talk about compassion and we praise Mahatma Gandhi to its highest. I have no problems with them. But the values inculcated, number one, non-violence, it's very low. It is minimum thing that was expected, but there is much higher. What we call compassion. Compassion has to become contagious. Why am I saying compassion is higher than non-violence principle? That was the need of the hour. He did not want Britishers to be killed left and right. So he promoted non-violence. Okay. But was it necessary at that time? We will not go in that debate. But what is non-violence? Non-violence means not to hurt others, physically, mentally, emotionally. But what do you do after that? I have not hurt somebody. I have seen there is a beggar around the temple or near the church. I may not hurt this person, but what happens to my compassion at that time? Am I going out of my way and helping the person? Or will it be sufficient in telling him move away? That will be violence. So you see, compassion is positive, that I have to do something for the other person. Non-violence is very restrictive and says, I will not hurt anybody else. It's a negative approach. Compassion is a positive approach. Now, how do I decide this compassion aspect? We are praising heart. Yes, heart is very important. Mind is also very important. Often people pursuing spirituality says, mind is your best enemy. No, mind is not your enemy. Mind can be your best friend if we can train this mind. And that is the whole purpose of yoga. We have been talking about connecting with students, connecting with faculty, connecting with the owners, connecting at all levels, connecting with the universe. That's the whole purpose of yoga. Now, how to do it? How to bring about such a level of flexible consciousness? I don't know if you have heard this term flexible consciousness or not, but it's something occurred to me this afternoon that, when you meditate, you go inward. And time comes, your interest in the external world drops. That is a side effect of such processes. We should not allow that thing to happen. We have to maintain our interest and go extrovert also. I had to look after the family. I had to go out and earn money, whichever means honestly adopted by us. So there is an inward journey as well as the outward journey. Just as there is a subconscious, there is a superconscious. I like the idea of Dr. Clementis that, we have to focus on this consciousness. Even the great Swami Vivekananda talked about consciousness, and he says the purpose of any education, he generalized it in best possible way you can imagine, that the purpose of education is to free your consciousness. Free it in such a way that the small layer which is sandwiched between the two giant oceans can get an opportunity to expand. Imagine our available consciousness now. How is it? Okay. If we get a chance, we close our eyes and we meditate, and if we get into super consciousness and also go within ourselves, deep within ourselves, and feel those things. It is not that we want to become zombie or become unconscious or stone-like. No, we don't want such a Pashan Tulya, stone-like samadhi state where you lose all the awareness. No, that will be a terrible thing. We want to arrive at the fourth level of consciousness in a very easy way, without trying hard, see. Even the third level of consciousness, when we try, it doesn't come so easily. Do you know what this third level of consciousness is? It is sushupti, deep sleep. Try to fall asleep. When you come home and say, oh, I need to sleep and I want to fall asleep in less than 10 minutes. More you try, that consciousness of deep sleep will run away from you. But the moment you drop this effort, it will come, automatically it will come. Similarly, what is beyond this deeper sleep is Turiya state, which is the fourth condition. So I have to, since we are touching on the aspect of consciousness and our role as educators, third level is dream state. Second level is a dream state, and the first level is a waking state. Even in the waking state, our awareness is very flexible, is very selective. When you are driving, and something happens on a hoarding, new advertisement comes. Some people are attracted towards that advertisement, and some people won't even pay attention to it. So our consciousness is, you can easily define consciousness. It's so difficult to define consciousness, but it is the degree of our awareness and unawareness. To what extent, to what degree I'm aware, and to what degree I'm unaware. In Turiya state, in fourth state of consciousness, what happens there? We go so high with our consciousness, surpassing susupti, means deep sleep, but you are still aware. Do you get the picture? For example, if you have this EEG probe on your head and you measure the consciousness scale via EEG, electroencephalograph, you will see that, earlier it was moving fast. As the dream state arrives, it slows down the wave. And then you enter into a delta wave, which is almost 3 or 4 cycles per second, which is a deep sleep state. In the deepest level of meditation or in a higher level of a superconscious state, you will get this wave as if you are sleeping, but you're fully aware. You are so relaxed as if you are sleeping, but you're fully aware. So this is the beauty of effective meditation, because there are meditations and meditations. And I guarantee to all practitioners or all those seekers who like to experience this, I can grant them the experience within 3 sessions. Within 3 sessions, you'll have this experience. And this is made possible through a special technique of meditating on the heart with the help of yogic transmission. It's very simple, very easy. What we have to do later on when we meditate, please remember this process. We simply close our eyes and gently have a very light inward attention that my heart is being filled with the source of the divine light. And we remain with this thought. The rest of the work is done through this yogic transmission, which one feels. It is not a make-believe thing. You see, our knowledge, ancient knowledge, we praise so much. It's wonderful. Inculcation of knowledge that God is there. Dr. Chaturvedi, if you are asked, do you believe in God? You will say, what kind of a question are you asking? I am Chaturvedi. No one does. You're asking me such a question? But when you say, why do you believe in God? Then you'll have to think many times that this is because I believe. Maybe you will say, my father told me, my mother taught me. But these are all inculcated values without any real basis. Or our Shastras speak that God is everywhere. But have you experienced omnipresence of God or omniscience of God or omnipotency of God? When such fundamental questions are asked by the youth today, then you get perplexed. You become so much at a loss when a child asks, why do you believe in God? Where is God? How do I feel God? So knowledge is great. What we are offering through university, it is great. But without experience, without exposure to context of that knowledge, you are lost. What India needs today is exposure to these contexts. When I was studying pharmacy in the year between 1974 and 1980 in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, we learned a lot. But this learning was very hollow until I went to the United States and saw this knowledge in action. You see, we were taught, you must advise your patients not to take tetracycline with milk. We studied all that in the books. Or whenever you take this griseofulvin antibiotic with butter, it is all in the books. But when you actually apply that in a real life, when you're telling a patient that please take a sandwich of, butter sandwich today with a lot of cheese and butter and take this tablet, then you understand why you are doing this. Because when you explain why we do all this, you have to appreciate that knowledge, why of that thing. See, why do I believe in God? Have you experienced it? Or are you just shooting arrows in dark? That knowledge becomes very rich. That knowledge can become very strong or, very authentic when you have experienced it. See. So I think we are running out of time. We don't have much time. We can go on and on. I had a lot to share, but I think I will have to terminate it because of lack of time. I will walk you through this process of relaxation. And once this relaxation is done in 5 minutes, you can decide to continue meditation after that, which I'll walk you through. And Dr. Sancheti, I must tell you, I enjoyed your talk also like others. I'm referring to your name at the moment because we have a lot of students and faculty who are already practicing heartfulness and they are with your institute. And they are very fine students and faculties that you have. And it's wonderful to know this institute running so well, capably well. See. It's unfortunate I don't have time because I have lots and lots and lots of things to share, from consciousness to pedagogy to this and maybe some other time.
We can extend the time. You can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, I think with the agreement of all the speakers, so it is a golden opportunity for all of us to hear you. Maybe about.
All right, so let's begin a little bit. I'll expose you to. Most of us have experienced while taking shower, you get great ideas and great thoughts. Have you noticed it? You get the ideas, oh, I must do this today. And soon as you come out of the bathroom, you feel like writing those excellent notes. Oh, I had this idea. Why does this thing happen only when you're in shower? It's not that, there have been many moments when you're alone, just like in a shower. But there you don't get such creative thoughts. Why do we get such creative thoughts while we take shower? When you touch the water, touches our body, be it hot water or cold water, it somehow stimulates our blood circulations. In the process of dormant or inactive hormonal glands, they also get activated. And in the process, dopamine is released. And dopamine is a joyful hormone. It triggers your creativity. Okay. Now, how do you trigger creativity in a classroom? You don't tell students, go take a bath and come back. See? But create a joyful environment, just as if a new dose of dopamine has been released in your bloodstream. This idea occurred to me 2-3 days back, actually, that how to create the joyful environment. I mean, imagine a professor who comes so angrily because he had a fight with his wife, and he starts lashing out at students, and students are also scared. What happened to this professor today? He's not in his right mind, and they will not learn anything. They would just be sitting there laughing their guts out, not loudly, but inside. And once he's gone, they say, oh, this fellow has gone cuckoo today. But there are professors who, even when the students are sad or we're concerned with something, they bring so much of joy. And when they are teaching things joyfully, this dopamine does the trick. Not only you become creative, your memory retention also increases. Right? And how our ancient people have figured it out. Recently, 2 years back, I think, when Japanese scientists got a Nobel Prize on what? Effect of the sun SUN, solar cycle. What do they call that cycle? Circadian rhythm. He studied it on bacteria and yeast and fungus. How metabolism gets triggered during daytime and how it slows down during nighttime. Big deal. Our people knew it thousands of years back. They created these nadis, Surya Nadi and Chandra Nadi. Some of you may be familiar with it. And if you check your nostril, both will not be working at the moment. One of them will be working more predominantly than the other one. Okay. Surya Nadi is connected with sympathetic nervous system, which means right nostril breathing is connected with the sympathetic nervous system. And left nostril is connected with the parasympathetic system. Parasympathetic system means slowing down. You're calming yourself. You're centering yourself. So I would encourage, people who are about to get angry or they want to center themselves, just let's do the 10-minute or 10 breaths through the left nostril and you'll definitely cool down. Anyway, we often wonder about how much to teach people. Can you teach the students all their lives? It's not possible. Will I have to read books again and again and again and again and learn things? No. Every situation I can master myself, and at every given situation, I can come up with a solution. That should be the preparation. Preparation of a leader is, he should be able to make a wise decision at any given moment, not just XYZ moment, not pre-COVID or post-COVID or during COVID period. He should be able to make decision at any given time. See, I'll share with you a small story. It goes back to, I don't know, right, wrong, but it's just a story. Treat it as a story. There was one very old famous thief. He was nearing his 70s. And his son was getting frustrated. How come this knowledge of thievery is not being passed on to me? His son was pestering him all the time. Please, dad, teach me how to become a master thief like yourself. And the father says, take it easy, boy, take it easy. You will know it one day. But son was really giving him a headache. So father took him one day. He said, look, first you must identify from which house to steal. Number one lesson. So they go in the little village, scanning every house. Then see how many people are staying there, what are their activities. All these things were fundas were taught to him. One fine night, they decide to enter the house. They enter from the back door at midnight. Father goes to that, that treasure room, chest room, and father tells his boy, open this chest. So he breaks open the lock. Father says, enter this chest. So son happily goes, he starts taking the inventory of the jewels. Father closes the chest and son is trapped in the chest. Son keeps on knocking that chest like crazy. And father quietly disappears from the scene. See? Boy is really frustrated. What to do? What has gone to my father's head? Now he's going to kill me, get me killed with these people. Because of his banging the chest, maids woke up and the whole house woke up. The maids come with the lantern, with the candle lights on. And as soon as they open the chest, the boy, he blows the candle, jumps out of the chest and runs out of the house and then leads them to the forest way. Whole village is after him. He could have died that day. But then he had the brilliant idea again. See, just like he blew up the candle, he took a little, little boulder, small, and threw it into the pond, making a splash as if he had fallen into the well. So villagers thought, now he has gone, now he'll die. Tomorrow morning we'll see who this boy was. But meanwhile, he had gone to the top of the tree, watching the fun down there, see. Now he goes back home angrily. Why father had to do this? Father was fast asleep. He wakes him up. Why did you do this, Dad? Oh, you come back safe. Now I know you'll become the master thief. I didn't teach you all these things, but you survived all this. So at each moment, how do you decide? The first step, we have 23 or 24 steps. Ashtanga Yoga is derived from Sadhana Chatushtaya, one of the steps called Sham. Patanjali Muni must have studied this so well, he derived this from Sat Sampati. And this Sat Sampati was derived from Sadhana Chatushtaya. The very first step of Sadhana Chatushtaya is Viveka, discrimination. So at any given moment, if I can discriminate, should I eat this or should I not eat this? Should I go to school or should I go to playground? Is this good for me? Is this bad for me? And you can elevate these steps and say, is this a cause or is this effect? Meaning, is this the new karma or I'm creating new karma? Let me make it even clearer. Am I going through as a karma phala or I'm creating new karmas myself? What I'm going to behave now as, is it out of my past samskars or is it something new that I'm creating? So this discrimination, no one can teach us. At any given moment, whether you have to make a decision in the business world that this particular location, is it good for my business? In business world, they say location, location, location. Three things, very important for a successful business. But that was the old period. Now too, now it's website address. How short, how rememberable or recollectable in the memory it is, how sweet it sounds. Branding. You were, Dr. Gupta, right? You were giving an example of Kanpur IIT. 90% of people will be brain drained. 10%. Now, can you say it was the right choice? It doesn't matter where they studied, whether they studied in Shillong or they studied in Chennai or this, they would go. Opportunities are calling them. See, we go after opportunities and nothing wrong with that. See,
Yes,
nothing
yes.
wrong with that. Actually, I have seen in my life most NRIs, there are more nationalists than Indians in India.
Yes.
You watch it. You go any foreign country and you witness a life of an ordinary Indian family there. They will have all the rituals, all the Sangeet music that is being taught in India that children would know, but not, you'll have a difficulty finding even 10 students in the whole big city of Chennai. When I used to visit Chennai in 80s, you know what I used to see? In front of every household, they'll clean it up, sprinkle water, and do this white, this nice decoration. Put leaves also. There will be kumkum. Some rituals were there, and it made you feel so pious and God-oriented. Not that rituals really help, but it reminds you.
Yes.
It reminds you that there is something nobler, there is something higher. So our consciousness shifts. Our people, they say, you better take bath in the morning. Otherwise, God will be unhappy. You can't go and worship God unless you take a bath. Now, based on this dopamine release, you can understand and appreciate that when you approach your beloved, you have to go in a happy mode, isn't it? You can't go sad. So you need some dose of dopamine. You take a shower or you meditate, and automatically this thing will be rising up in the system. So many times children ask me, youth especially, how long should I meditate? I say, you decide it yourself. When the climax of your consciousness is reached, where your heart is satisfied that yes, I feel good at the moment, that's the moment to stop it. But you can continue with this meditative state. And when you have this meditative state, your focus changes altogether. As a professor, if you are not focused, what can you teach? You came with the thermodynamics topic and you end up teaching something else. Oh, I came prepared with this, but now I'm teaching you this. I lost my focus. There was a joke also. There was that one professor taught something that belonged to the second semester, but he finished in the first. This is absent-mindedness, you see, lack of focus. Students, they are looking at the board, looking at the professor, but the mind is somewhere else. Similarly, if you are driving and your focus is not there, you're going to meet with an accident. Why am I emphasizing the idea of focus? I'd like to again bring in Gita principle in this. Lord Krishna says, happiness is the primary goal of life. How can you be happy? Now you think, can you enjoy anything if you are restless? You're walking around in the room, back and forth, back and forth. You come home and you're just walking around from kitchen to dining room to living room to bedroom, and just your wife will be frustrated. Your children also would be on the edge. What has happened to father? He's restless. You're not only making yourself unhappy, you're making the whole family unhappy. So it requires some sort of harmony within so that you can reflect it outside. And how can you have harmony within unless you have contemplative mind? And how can you have a contemplative mind unless you have a focused mind? And how can you develop such mind unless you meditate? So the root of happiness lies in how your mind is trained, see, through meditation. See. Meditation is a big solution to, not just only this world, it's good forever. Even million years later, meditation cannot be avoided. There is no shortcut. Meditation is the key, dhyan. Only through dhyan, I'm not talking of asanas. People have made it very perverted definition of yoga as asanas. It is stupidity. You already know it. It is only one of the steps out of those 23, 24 steps that I have shared with you. Dhyan is also one of very small step. But because of meditation, we are able to sensitize our heart and sensitize our mind. When mind thinks properly, heart agrees with it, there is a kind of eclipse of conscience. When heart says something and mind says something else, there is a tension. So, how to follow the heart all the time? Heart will always speak the truth, always, under all circumstances. You refer back to your life situation when you made the decisions. You go back as many decisions as you have made where you have gone wrong. And you will see that under all those situations where you have gone wrong, Heart was always telling you, don't do that, don't do that. Yet you did it because of circumstances. You may have a lot of justifiable excuses. So we try to teach our children, especially the youth, how to distinguish the voice of the heart and the logic of the mind. Nothing wrong with any of this. We need to build a bridge between them. See, this can happen through meditation. I won't take much time because we still have to meditate now and do some relaxation. So I'll teach you how to relax. There are many institutes, they have already adopted this 3-4 minutes of relaxation. And I would say even earlier it is done, it is better. Earlier age, because then, the aspect of neuroplasticity comes. Older people, when they start doing all these things, the results are there, but not as much, as good. So many times we regret why, people, they think that I will go into dhyana and do all this tapasya when I get older. You won't be able to do it, brothers. You won't be able to. First of all, you won't be able to sit properly. Second of all, you won't have a focused mind because you're all the time thinking of your BP and diabetes and you're, scratching here and there. So you keep on doing this. You'll say, oh, my hairs are falling. Any kind of worries will trouble you in your old age. If not your health, your children, your grandchildren. You can be destabilized emotionally by your own children in old age. You'll never be happy. Even if they are happy, you will not be happy. It's a psychological nature of man. Because you like to see better and better, and unnecessarily you break your head, and things that you promised yourself that I'll do it later on in my life, it will not happen. So sooner the better. Right age to start is 15. Relaxation can be taught to any child from the age they can understand the commands. So I'll walk you through these commands. So let's gently close our eyes and pay attention to feet. Allow the energy from Mother Earth to enter through your feet, helping relax the whole system, starting with your lower legs, your calf muscles and knees, allow this energy to move up to your thigh muscles. Feel the relaxation there. Let this energy move further up, your hip area, in your entire back. Allow this energy from Mother Earth enter your abdominal muscles and your chest area. Now your shoulders, feel the energy there, helping them become lighter and almost melting away. Let this energy descend into your lower arms, starting with your biceps and elbows and your wrist, your palms. Okay. Now your neck muscles. Feel the relaxation there. Your facial muscles. Let the tensions drop away. Allow the jaws also to drop. Feel the relaxation in your lips, eyebrows and eyelids, your forehead. Your earlobes. And top of your head. Now scan the whole system, please, from top to toe. Feel the relaxation there. If any body part is still tensed, you can revisit and permit this energy from Mother Earth to help it relax. Now, having relaxed the whole system, we are ready to meditate. Think that the source of divine presence is already there in our heart. Source of divine light is already present in our heart. That's all. Keep this idea in your mind. If thoughts do arise, let them come. Just remind yourself that I am meditating. You continue with this process as long as you like. But we'll do for 20 minutes for now. बस कीजिए. That's all.
Gee, is there anything you want to say to finish before we end the webinar?
I'm thankful to all participants and especially Dr. Pankaj Gupta, Dr. Chaturvedi sir, Dr. Goyal, Metri, Dr. Gupta and Jeffrey Clemens, Dr. Sancheti, for hanging around till the end. And I hope, I dream of a day when the whole world, every household would meditate, be guided from within their hearts, you see. And this is the legacy we can leave behind for our children. Of course, I don't undervalue the importance of material transfer. Whatever support we can give, we should. But this is something very crucial. Somewhere I read that if you give your children $2 million, and if their character is not good, this 2 million is going to finish them off. It will destroy them. But if you give them a strong, if you make their moral muscles stronger, make their character very high, of a great order, and even if you don't give them one single dollar or a cent, they'll make it on their own. They'll stand on their legs because you have given them the foundation of a moral strength. So I think it's time we should reorient and refocus our lives in educating children with the spirituality. Without spirituality, there is no future. Spirituality is everything. And it does not mean that we drop other things that we are doing, building industries, building businesses, new technologies. It's okay, but pay attention to this inner voice as well, inner spirituality as well. Both can fly like two wings of a bird, tail guiding it, heart guiding it. See? And we can have a balanced life. See? So our job is to help them, observe and create more interests in everything, be it study or family life or relationship. I mean, it covers the entire spectrum. These two words, interest and observation. So I thank you, sir. Thank you all. Elizabeth, you have? Okay, thank you. If you still have questions, I don't think we can tie you up now. You can write to me, daji@heartfulness.org, and all have free access to. Everyone has access to my simple book on question and answer meditation. The title is Simple Heartfulness Practices. These books are also available, Heartfulness Way as well as Designing Destiny. And you can feel free to write to me. I'll personally write to you back. And we have this also app, Hearts app. You don't have to go to any trainer or a preceptor or a guru or a master. You can, just like Uber. Yes, you are somewhere and you order a car. I'd like to have a pickup. Somebody picks you up who is in the neighborhood, right? Similarly, let us say you're in Chennai and at 2 o'clock in the morning, you felt like, oh, I want to meditate. But nobody is there in Chennai who is awake at 2 in the morning. But there is evening in London. There are trainers in Britain, in Europe, in US, all over the globe we have, in 160 countries we have trainers. So someone will see this request that Dr. Sancheti is requesting a meditation session. That person will log in and say, okay, sir, please begin meditation. I will meditate with you. And that person will also transmit this, which you can feel. So wherever you are. So distance also does not matter. People who understand this quantum field can appreciate how this transmission would work. So you are all elite in the field of quantum world also, and which can be experienced. And it's a matter of experience again, I say, and you will rejoice this moment. Thank you.
Jaji, it was really so great. We are so grateful to you, and it was such a memorable time for all of us. So we are very, very grateful to you. And we are also planning to organize a series of such events with you and the education leaders. One of the events we are also planning on the 25th July. So we will be in touch and we'll take it forward. And Daji, I got two important questions, if I can just share with you, and maybe one is that I get so many thoughts when I try to meditate, how to remove them and how to be more peaceful. And secondly, I am too busy to meditate with all my work responsibilities. How can I balance both my spiritual hunger and material quest? This already you have answered, Daji, but if there is any passing thing you would like to share. And also when Dr. Kumar Shekhar Vijayanji is here, he wanted to ask you one question. So if we can quickly ask and then we can...
No problem. Well, the function of the mind is obvious. It's to think, to intellectualize, make decisions, right? Primary function is to think. Can you stop this function? You can't. It is unnatural. Just as nose is to smell and eyes are to see, so is mind to think. So it is unnatural to fight with our mind and say, stop thinking. No. But I need to train my mind to think on what I want it to think. When I'm learning quantum science, the chapter on quantum world, chapter on, let us say, thermodynamics, I should be able to focus only on that at that moment. When I am with, let us say, at home worshipping, my mind should be there. When I'm cooking, mind should be trained to do what you want it to do. And meditation can greatly help. Overnight, you want to make your mind quiet. It can happen. How badly you want it.
Okay, that.
When the mind is, out of this 24 hours, 16, 17 hours, it's busy thinking without any regulation. And you want to regulate your mind for that half-hour period during meditation, it is not going to happen. It has already become a monkey mind. So now we are trying to expand this half-hour of quiet time into 24 hours. So meditation, when we do for 20 minutes or half hour in the morning, it's okay. It's a process, it's okay. It's a trigger, something you start with your closed eyes. But then this meditative state should continue in the office, while you're teaching, while you're listening. This meditative state should continue. See? So it's actually a 24/7 process.
Daji, just one last thing, Daji. People can experience this again tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock on Yoga Day. There's a program from 7 till 8:30 tomorrow morning.
What? I don't have the details. Is it on CNN?
This is Heartfulness channel, Heartfulness YouTube channel.
Heartfulness YouTube channel, it is there. As well as it, I think they will broadcast it on CNN News 18 at 3 p.m. But even if you don't see all these things, you just sit like this tomorrow at 7 in the morning, I'll transmit to all of you. Just 15 to 20 minutes would be enough. Okay.
Kumar Saab, would you like to ask that question towards the end? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Namaskar, Daji.
Namaskar,
Dr. Pankaj Gupta asked me to join the session and ask a question, but after from medication to meditation, this journey happened with me. So I do not have much question. The only thing for me is that very briefly, I will say that when transformation of education is there, generally the purpose of education is success. We say that education will make you independent and successful. How education can make a person interdependent, because that interdependence will bring sustainability. So that from success to progress and from independent to interdependent, this is what is required and how it can be achieved with the young people around. Please enlighten us on that.
It's a long topic you have brought it in for. Maybe let's reserve this for 25th July.
Okay.
But just to crack a joke, you think that I'm going to get married and be happy ever after? Think about it. So if you think this education is going to make you happy, it depends on what you mean by education, and it depends on what you mean by happiness. See, these are all relative terms. To one person, education means something that I become. To another person, education means I'm gathering this knowledge. But how will you use it? Where will you use it? See? Happiness for a child who plays with the toys versus a teenager who is always thinking of romance versus a vice-chancellor who would think that all his faculty will be obedient. Right? That is happiness. It's. So, I mean, how do you want to define happiness? These are all individual things, you see. Similarly, education, what you want from your education. For me, purpose is to become. When I learn something, I should become something as a result of it. This we can take up also, Dr. Pankaj Gupta, that we can take up this concept of consciousness, or evolution of consciousness as a topic next time.
Right,
this is my suggestion. So
sure.
it would be wonderful to tackle this, and we can bring in many people in the field of consciousness to enrich the whole dialogue.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Shreya, you want to say a vote of thanks?
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, Shreya.
It has been a privilege. Thank you, sir. It has been a privilege today to have hosted the Higher Education Leaders Forum. Today, jointly with IIHMR University, Jaipur, Heartfulness Institute, and the United Nations Network India. Thank you so much. Begin by thanking Dr. Kamlesh Patel, Daji. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights and wisdom with us and taking us on a journey of experiential learning and meditation. Thank you, sir. It was very motivating and has guided all of us into adopting an empathetic, an ethical, and an emotional approach in our work, especially in transforming ourselves and education today. It has been our privilege and honor to have hosted you. Thank you. We've had the opportunity today to hear from a group of exceptional stalwarts in quality education, not just in India, but globally. Thank you for sharing such valuable insights on quality education, heartful leadership, and aligning it all with the SDGs. A warm thank you to all our esteemed panelists, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Dr. H. Chaturvedi, Dr. D.P. Goyal, Dr. SANDEEP SANCHETI, Dr. Bhimaraya Metri, Dr. Elizabeth, Dr. Ravi Gupta, Dr. Jeffrey Clemens, and Dr. Pankaj Gupta. I would like to thank the entire team at IIHMR University, led by Dr. Pankaj Gupta, and the Heart team at Heartfulness Institute. Thank you, Dr. Elizabeth, who have jointly supported today's initiative from the time of inception to execution. Thank you to our media partner, ELTS Online. I would now like to thank our team at United Nations Global Compact Network India, led by Mr. Kamal Singh, and Sustainiverse, led by Mr. Shravan and Rashmika Manwani, who have worked tirelessly in making today's session a success. I cannot leave without thanking our audience, who have always been a great support. We've had a huge audience today. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending in such large numbers and interacting with our speakers by chatting with them and asking very relevant questions. It is together that we can achieve the global goals in this decade of action and create a world we want to live in. Thank you once again for joining today.
Thank you very much, Shreya. And I'd also like to inform that we shall be e-releasing this reflection from all the Heartful leaders very soon, and we'll be sharing these copies with you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pankaj ji. Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, Kamal Singh sir. Very enjoyable session. Lot to learn, lot to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all the distinguished speakers. Really appreciate. Thank you so much, sir. And special thanks to Taji and all the audience and everyone. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Pankaj ji. Thanks to all the speakers.
Thank you.